What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, gamestradamus, and welcome to another installment of Starcraft 2. Now, Starcraft 2 is probably the most recommended video on my channel, which is funny because they're also the least viewed videos. So, if you are somebody on my channel who loves watching Starcraft videos, please come get your friends to watch them as well, so that I can better justify making a bunch more of these videos, because this game is awesome and a lot of fun to play. Anyway, a lot of people recommended that I have some longer gameplay, and I figured that was because they wanted to see a lot of the units in the game. So I have a little treat for you today. I set up a little one-on-one match against my brother, who, yes, also has a beta code, I know. We are both bitches. But sorry about it. Anyway, so we amassed these two huge armies. I told him to expand quickly so we could do so. He went for 9 bases, which is just overkill, and he's a big turkey. But, oh well. So anyway, this game is mainly to focus on the PROTOSS, but I wanted to get a little terran in there. So here we go. Here we got the Marines versus the Zealots. Now, the Zealots are the basic unit for the PROTOSS, as the Marines are for the Terran. Now, the Zealots are melee-based, and their ability in StarCraft 2 is that they can dash attack at people, which is a good way to catch up with them. They are very strong and shielded, but they also are the most expensive basic unit in the game. They are also completely worthless against air, so you have to defend against that. Now, these next units are the Sentry. They are the second unit available for the PROTOSS. They can attack both ground and air, and as you can see, they can summon in these hallucinations of units. Those are not real units. They just let the other team think that they are to kind of throw them off. They can also put up those shields, which you see right there, which can block people, kind of use them as a wall in a way. And the other one is they throw up that shield, which blocks incoming fire. So they can be handy units, but I tend to shy away from them. This next unit is the Stalker. This is the third unit the PROTOSS can get. These guys are pretty cool. They can attack both ground and air. They're pretty quick, and they can teleport, as you just saw, or what they call blink. And these are the Marauders for the Terran. They are the heavy armored assault infantry, and they can launch grenades and do extra damage against armored units. But they just don't really stand a chance against the Stalkers one-on-one. But those Stalkers are nice because you can also like blink or teleport up different terrain levels, so you can sneak attack with them, which is really key. Now you can see up there in the right corner, there's the warp prism, which you can see it expanding there, and when it's the teleporter or the transport unit for the PROTOSS. But when it opens up like that, it lets out a power grid, which, as I was explaining before, is how the PROTOSS build buildings. And when you have that power grid laid out, the PROTOSS are able to beam their units to it. So it's a good way to set up in someone's base and then beam all your units to it for like sneak attacks and stuff. So that's kind of a cool little unit to use. Or set up to like build really quickly in different places. See how it sets out that little power grid there? Like I beamed all those units through it. Now here is the siege tank for the Terran. This is a pretty cool little unit, especially if you played the first one. They're still as badass. But this time around, the PROTOSS have a counter unit, and that is the Immortal. The Immortal is probably the coolest looking unit in the game, in my opinion, or one of them at least. They are a heavily armored assault unit. They have these extra shields against heavy barrages like the siege tank, so it doesn't do much damage against them. But they are completely worthless against air, as you can see, so you have to keep them defended. But against ground units and armored units, they are extremely devastating. Now this next unit is the Phoenix. The Phoenix is the basic air superiority unit for the PROTOSS. They are a pretty cool little unit. They're quick. They do not attack ground, but they have the special ability which allows them to pick ground units up into the air and then attack them. So it takes a little more micromanaging, but those can be very nasty if used correctly. Now the next air unit, which I believe I grabbed next here, yes, is the Void Ray. The Void Ray is a nice little unit. It has this beam laser that it charges up, and the more it's charging and shooting at one target, the more damage it does. So it's really good against big units or attacking buildings, but when it comes to just a couple of small ground units, it doesn't have time to build up its power for its beam and can easily be taken out. So you have to watch for that, but those can be very devastating to get early game and then go around and snipe, is what they call it, snipe the other player's command center or our main base, as you will, which can be completely devastating. Now here you see the battle cruiser. Here's one of the biggest Terran ships, and I just wanted to demonstrate that these Void Rays against a big unit like that can be extremely devastating. And yes, I did use 4 of them. Might have been a little overkill, but you know, you can probably get about 2 or 3 of those for every battle cruiser you can get. So just things to kind of keep in mind of you know, what units to buy. Oh, do I go for the biggest unit, or do I get a couple of like the tier 2 units and stuff? Anyway, back to the units. Here we have the High Templar for the Protoss. They're like the mage units. And it's cool, you can take 2 of them and they can merge. And they create an Archon, which is like this psionic being that's incredibly powerful. And these guys have, the High Templar have cool magic, like they just had that little Ion Storm, or I think it's what it's called, or Psi Storm, which it can be very devastating if enemies are in big groups. And you can see that Archon can attack land and air. He's very heavily shielded, but has like minimal life. Anyway, on to the Dark Templar, which are pretty fun units. They are permanently cloaked, which is nice. They are harder to get to in the tiers, or like a tier 3 unit, but they are pretty much just unstoppable if the other team does not have any way to detect them. As you can see, it's just one-hit kills, and they just slaughter people. They can also merge together to make Archons, so both them and the High Templar can do that. But these guys are pretty nasty, and it'd be cool to probably watch them kill like 100 Marines in a row. Anyway, this is a 2-part series, guys. So this is part 1. It's coming to an end. So stay tuned for part 2, and I will see you guys in that next one. Subscribe now for instant gratification.